What a joy that you have found us for this podcast. How exciting it is to think that this spiritual message is going out to people around this planet. Whether your life is working at a peak level or whether it can use some enhancement, have I got the message for you today. So get a piece of paper, get ready to take notes, call a friend, have them watch this podcast also. Then you too can have something to talk about and take it to a deeper level. So enjoy. Here we go. Hey, good morning, Seaside. Oh, what a joy it is to be here with you today on this exciting day. Hey, did you see those water spouts yesterday off the coast? Wasn't that spectacular? Oh my goodness. Trevor and I were driving down the coast and all of a sudden everybody just put on their brakes and they stopped and people are jumping out of their cars with their cameras and we pulled over and oh my goodness to see, Trevor called them water tornadoes, but to see the water exploding and just watching the heavens suck the ocean up into the sky, it just, if you ever had any doubt who's in charge and where the power lies, it's God. You know, it is clear to see such phenomenon going on here, and if you ever wondered what was in God's house, well, we can only begin to scratch the surface. And this morning's message is, what's in your house? And I came up with the concept for this morning's message from a commercial about a credit card or something, where somebody had spent a lot on their credit card and it had high interest, and all these ugly things were coming after them because they had this high interest on their credit card. And then the guy's spouse whips out her Visa interest-free, and they all go away. And they say, and what's in your wallet? And I think, wow, really, what's in your house? You know, what's in your consciousness? You know, what is in your thinking? You know, consciousness means awareness. What is in your field of awareness? Because form follows consciousness is what we say. You know, effect follows thought. Consciousness houses itself with the things that are out there in this world, in your world. So it comes down to asking, what's in your house? Hey, yeah, you want to know? You take a look to see what's in your world and you can begin to see what's going on inside your consciousness. James Allen wrote, 2 men behind prison bars. One sees the mud and the other sees the stars. 2 guys behind prison bars. You know, one sees the mud and one sees the stars. They're in the same spot, the same thing is going on, and yet one chooses to see the expansive heavens. What choice are you choosing in a particular situation? You know, a couple months ago when I was down in Costa Rica, and I would get up when the sun got up. I figured that's the time to get up. You know, some people think it's too early. But I get up when the day starts, and I head on out to this great surfing spot, Playa Grande. I think I told you about it. I go through these dirt roads and these little villages, and that hour, the cows are moving en masse to wherever they go that time of day. Sometimes they have the herder, sometimes they don't. But I would just stop since I didn't have much choice. And I look at this, I say, this is wonderful. There are cows on the road. I don't see that very often in Encinitas, you know? You know, a cow is looking in my window and I'm looking at his eye. We are having a relationship, this cow and I. This is kind of cool. And yet, I can see on the other side of this herd, some local very upset that there's cows in his road, that he is honking away, and he is in a rush. Wherever it is, he's got to go at that early hour. And as soon as the cows part, he gasses it and boom, gone. Now here it is, the same experience. For me, it was a blessing. I was able to see the presence of God. And the other guy, it was a nuisance, which goes to show that a particular experience doesn't intrinsically have a reality, but rather it is our perception of what is going on. It's not what is there, it's what is in my house that is determining my experience of what is going on in our life. So is it a nuisance or is it a blessing? The choice is yours. Are you giving your power away to what's going on the outside, or are you beginning to claim it in your life? You see, what happens is we have learned from an early age that it's what's on the outside controls what I feel on the inside, and people begin to shut down and close the cabinet doors of their house. You know, Familiar story, many different versions. I'm sure you've heard one of them about the little first grader who's in his class and drew a picture of a teepee. And when the teacher came and he looked at this guy's tent, the little child drew the teepee in purple. And the teacher said, that is no color for a teepee. Teepees are not purple. Dead people are purple, not teepees. We're not going to be able to hang your tent picture on the wall with the others. And the little kid was devastated. He was crushed. So next year in second grade, in Mrs. Bartlett's class, when the teacher says, go ahead and draw anything you want. It's okay. The little guy just stood there and didn't draw anything. And so when Mrs. Bartlett walked around and she saw his blank page, she put his hand on his head and said, wow, snowfall. It's white. It's clean. It's beautiful. And his world changed like that. But as a little child, you think what is coming at you is real and true. Little children don't recognize that what those teachers are sharing is what's in their house. They are perceiving life through their consciousness, their thinking. And this person who thinks something is terrible, they're looking through that kind of world. That little kid, after it was told it was terrible, drew black and midnight fell upon it. His heart was crushed. But when it was opened, all of a sudden he had so much more to bring to our world. But what happens is in our society, we have got this issue of closing down, and so we don't see the joy of being and the awe and the wonder of the simple things of life because we are bombarded from the outside. We're not finding the awe and the natural wonder from within our house. We're being bombarded with the plethora of things of this world. If we've found a good meal, we got to find a better place for a better meal or a new project or a new electronic gadget. As soon as we have it, there's a new one. And all of a sudden, all these things keep coming at us, and we forget about the natural beauty and awe of life itself, of just walking along the beach that is out there and seeing what gifts God can drop out of the heavens like water spouts. Yeah. Had a lady as my mom's godmother, came to live at our house when I was about 6 or 7 years old. She was late in her 70s, well into her 70s at that point. And she was born in the 1890s. And in Hungary on a farm, strong peasant stock, she used to say. She came to us in the late 90s when most people are shutting down. She lived with us until she was 99 years old. We used to call her Tata Marie. And she loved to serve. I'm talking about service today, the difference you make. Tata Marie is who comes to mind because she just loved to give. She was up before anybody else cooking breakfast. She took care of the house. She did the dishes, did the laundry. She did the gardening. This was her passion. She loved to serve. And I truly believe it's what kept her going strong until 99 when she was still playing cards. The day she died, she had done the gardening, the dishes, the laundry before she checked out that night. This was a sense of service. It is what she loved to do. And what just always remember about her is the awe of life itself, whether it was gardening in a beautiful flower or whether we were going to somebody's house. It was almost like a little dog, excited. We're going to somebody's house. It didn't matter if we were there last week or going grocery shopping. She thought this was the greatest thing in the world, where some people walk down the aisle and say, here I go again, supermarket purgatory. Oh, no. She would think this is exciting, and that natural sense of awe. This is what was in her house. She saw the joy of life in everything, whether it was visiting a neighbor down the street or a new gadget, which she never could figure out. Forget dishwashers and dryers. But when we don't have that awe, we don't see that presence of God showing up, whether it's in a tough time or a good time, we begin to see the negative. You go into the spin. You begin to get sucked into the black hole. And as you start going down the black hole, whether a sickness threw you in there, whether a financial situation threw you in there, the sides are slippery. Let me tell you, begin to gather evidence on the way down. And when you hit the bottom of that black hole, you find company. There are a lot of people that are miserable. Misery loves company. You ever hear that? In the bottom of that black hole are buddies. Yeah, let me tell you how bad it is. And it is tough to get out of there because they want to pull you back and keep you down there and keep you stuck. And we forget that we don't have to stay there, but we become preoccupied with the chatter and the noise and the things that are out there and the pain and the evidence and the circumstances. And we begin to be preoccupied with the mind that the things that are out there. I'm saying, what is in your house? What is in your house is the God. What is in your house is the fullness of life itself. What is in your house is everything that it takes to heal a particular situation. But what happens is we become preoccupied with the evidence that is out there and people validating that evidence, which is why I say you got to stop sometimes and just reconnect. Come back to that center. Go back to meditating, walking along the beach, gardening if that's your thing. If you can't get away from people, lock yourself in the bathroom so you can remember to reconnect with who you are and what you are, because life is communicating with you, whether you hear it or not, and it gets louder if you don't listen. I mean, have you ever left a container in your refrigerator a little too long? You know, when that little plastic thing starts to bubble because the gas is inside? You know that one. And you open it up, and that smell is, oh man. And some nasties are growing in that container. You know, it smells bad because it's supposed to. It stinks because it's supposed to. It's supposed to tell you, don't eat that or you're going to get really sick. It is repulsive, so you will leave it alone and get rid of it. Life is like that. When things stink in your world, it is so you can pay attention. So you can get rid of that dysfunctional relationship, that abusive business environment, the addictive behavior. It is calling your attention to that particular experience so you can pay attention, so you can let go of it. You don't have to beat it up. You don't try to make that food better. You get rid of it. Well, I'll tell you what. The healing today and the spiritual practitioners today, their prayer work is not trying to overcome the nasties and the bads in people's world. It's letting it go. It's not about taking up the sword and dominating a particular situation. It's not about the truth overcoming the bad. It is not about God overcoming disease, because they do not exist in the realm of the God consciousness, that consciousness of wholeness and truth and being and life expression. And that truth and the wholeness of our being resides inside your house. What's inside your house? I'm telling you. I see people taking down notes. What's inside your house is the presence of God. Those other things are outside, and you do not need to overcome them. What you've got to do is let go of them in your life. Well, you can fight it if you want. You can take up the sword, but it's a lot tougher that way. You know, the story of the two guys, they were walking to some town that was days away down the river. And these two guys were walking along the river banks when the storm hit, and the flash floods raised the rivers, and it pulled the two guys in, and one guy he flipped out. The anxiety, the fear, I'm going to drown, and he just tried to fight against the current to get to the river bank, and he drowned. The other guy recognized that the torrent currents of the river was too much to fight, so he let go. And he relaxed as much as he could. And he went with the current. And finally, when it dumped him on the banks of the river, it was the village he was walking to anyway, and he got there quicker, easier, and faster. And so, when we are in the torrent throes of nature and life situations that just don't feel like this is what I wanted, if we can remember to trust God, trust nature, and let go and go with this current instead of fighting it, and trust that it will take us closer to that intention and that something that was placed in our heart. See, the challenge is that the situations in our life too often do not call us to reveal our true character. what situations and challenges do is they actually do let us reveal our true character, but not really the one that you can be. The challenges in our life are an opportunity for you to choose your identity. The challenges in your life are an opportunity for you to reveal your true character. The challenges in our life are an opportunity for us to prove that we know God, but we must begin to know that we're bigger than the challenge we find ourselves in. And the challenge is too many people are living in a world that is so much smaller than what is available to them. Let me say that again, because that's good, because some of you are writing it down. Too many individuals are living in a world that is smaller than what is available to them. You know, Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science, says, we live in a realm of infinite possibilities that are forever seeking expression through you. A realm of infinite possibilities, forever seeking expression through you. But what happens is we stay with the familiar. We stay with the comfortable relationships. We stay with what it is we know, forgetting that there is an unexplored universe out there. An unexplored universe with infinite kind of possibilities. And what keeps us from saying yes to that which is so much more available to us is our abusive self-talk. Is our abusive self-talk that's saying, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, why do it now? I'm too old, or I'm too young, or I'm not this, or I'm not that. And we continue to beat ourselves up, pound ourselves down. And we allow our mind to wander in directions that are not healthy. Let us look within and find out what is in my house. Not outside, not what people are saying, not what society is saying. We allow our minds to wander way too much. You know, the Science of Mind class, the foundation class I'm teaching, which has just started, and we got a dozen people starting this Tuesday. This class, I'm teaching meditation, this next class. It is teaching us how to go inside of our house and connect and to feel that power and that presence and that life force and to live from there. There's a Chinese proverb that says, the bird sings not because it has an answer. The bird sings because it has a song. Do you sing? Do you live? Because you know what's in your heart? Because you have a song? Richard Bach said, our only obligation in any lifetime is to be true to ourselves. The only obligation that we have in any lifetime, so whether you're here or somewhere else, another vibrational expression, is only obligation is to be true to ourselves. To be able to express or to sing because there's a song in my heart. There's something in my house that has got to come forth, that must be expressed. I'm going to give up my littleness and I am going to step out there and express it. I know that whatever situation shows up in my life, whether it is cows on the road or other difficulties, I can choose to perceive it from a negative place or a positive place. It comes back to where I choose to be. Because I'll tell you what, life is pouring forth its blessings into our world. And too often I see people when they have their dream and it's not coming about, they give up on it. Or when they're looking for balance in their world and they're unable to create the balance, they give up on balance. Or if they are looking for reconciliation and reconciliation isn't coming about, they give up on the concept of peace. We've got this project and it's not coming about, it's not being funded. Let us recognize that that song that is in our heart, that intent, that desire, no matter where you might be in your walk thus far in this lifetime, it is up to us to have the intent and the picture and that vision and let God supply and fulfill it. You got that? It is up to you to have the intention and let God supply and fulfill it. Because people use up their energy too much dealing with the effects of consciousness as opposed to dealing with consciousness. Oh, that's another good one. Got to say that. First service didn't get that. People use too much of their life force dealing with the effects of consciousness rather than dealing with consciousness, rather than dealing at the level of cause, rather than dealing at first cause, the initial impulsion. They deal with the effects, the challenges, the things that are in their world, as opposed to what is at cause that is showing up in one's world. Because the spiritual practitioners, those individuals that are trained in the art and science of prayer, that are licensed by our movement, who have spent years and years in training and practice, they are not sending out their prayers to anyone anymore. It's not like I am praying for this person to get it. You know, the old concept, I am sending you good thoughts. That kind of prayer is outdated, old, and gone. Our spiritual practitioners do the work in consciousness so they know the spiritual truth. So they're able to know the wholeness, the abundance, that life force. So when we are at a place of question or challenge in our life and there is something that is out of balance and we reach out to a practitioner, reaching out, we touch a consciousness that knows. You got that? When you ask for prayer, you are reaching out to a field of wholeness that has already been established, and you touch it, and as much of that is yours as you can begin to embody, because the spiritual practitioner has it. And so as we begin to do our spiritual work, let our work be such that thank you, God, not like thank you, God, outside, but just a sense of gratitude and appreciation for that which I am. I am that already. It's not I need, I want, I will get, I desire, it's be fulfilled someday, it should happen, oh please let me grovel some more, or wheel and deal. None of that anymore. It's I and the Father are one. I and that Father, Mother presence are one. Those that see me see that which sent me, that presence that sent me. This is where the healing takes place. I don't need to tell that infinite intelligence that created it all how to fix this particular that I'm dealing with. It is already whole. Now all I've got to do is touch into that place. And so true prayer, here it is. It's an outpouring. A true prayer is an outgiving. A true prayer is that I am that already, and this is what moves forth from me into my life. What is truly in my house is a sense of wholeness, and what comes into this world is the grace, is the abundance, is the blessings, is that which God is, I am, and the world shall see it. God bless us as we do. And so it is. So I'd like to invite the ushers to come forward as we do take our gift from our heart. Again, with a lot of heart and soul and passion. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous now. Hey, I trust you enjoyed that podcast. It was very exciting to be able to create that and to know that there are people like you all around the world that are observing and integrating these spiritual principles into their life. And so if you enjoyed it, what I'd like to do is encourage you to tell a friend or bring several friends together and watch another one of these podcasts, and then afterwards take some time to talk about the spiritual principles, to talk about the stories and what significance they have and relevance they have in your life. What then happens is it moves to a deeper and deeper level in your world. It becomes real and assists you to create the freedom in your life that your heart and soul so desire. So if you like this, I encourage you to watch it again, but also tune into our website here at seasidecenter.org. There, you can get some of my written material and take a look at it. You can read some of my spiritual prayers. You can even go to our online bookstore and order some of the books. And if you're so moved, what I greatly would appreciate is your financial support, which you could do online at seasidecenter.org. It is support like yours that assists us to be able to continue to do these kinds of gifts for humanity and send it out to the world. Because you know what? We are making a difference with this spiritual message. And because of support like yours, people are being touched in the farthest reaches of this planet, as well as our backyard, more than we could ever begin to realize. So I thank you from the fullness of my heart for making a difference.